Julie, I want to start having more real conversations, but how do I start? I'm not used to this. It's weird. I don't know how to go about it. And won't other people be weirded out by me talking this way? Kaleidoscope perception. I love this question. How to start having more real conversations. Because it's not something that we're taught. It's not something that we're taught to value. We're not really taught to value how we're feeling. We're not really taught how to hold space for our feelings or others' feelings. We're taught to look at behavior and to emphasize the way that people are behaving. But if you look closely, you'll see that behavior is a product of a long chain of feelings and stories and reasons and ideas about how I should behave. If this is the situation that I'm perceiving in this way, it's very complex. And so to just look at the level of behavior is oversimplified. So I love hearing this question. I love deep diving. So, how do I start? Well, how are you feeling in this moment? What's it like to be you? And as I ask you this, you can close your eyes if you want. And I invite you to just notice, what's it like to be me right now? How would I describe it to someone else? And you can look at the level of mind. What's been on your mind lately? New, exciting, inspiring ideas, or a problem you're trying to solve, or decision you're trying to make. What kind of thoughts are in your mind in this moment? What are you feeling emotionally? What are you feeling in your body? Are you hot, cold, hungry? What sensations throughout your body are standing out to you right now? How are you feeling in your storyline? Where you're at maybe in this time of the day? Did you have some interaction that is lingering? Are you feeling some future plans very heavily in this moment? And I'm just suggesting all sorts of random things, but really just you can look at the categories of what's going on inside of my mind, thoughts, what's going on in my sensations, my body, what's going on in my emotions, in my past, future, and energy. Maybe that's like impressions left by other people or a strong taste from a food I just ate. Why am I asking you all of this? The foundation of connection is with yourself. Foundation of relationship with another is the relationship we have with ourselves. And that starts with simply practicing and cultivating awareness and mindfulness. What's going on inside of me? How am I feeling moment to moment? And as we practice tuning in repeatedly throughout a day, pausing, maybe writing post-it notes to ourselves or setting an alarm on our phone to check in and ask what's it like to be me right now, and kind of scanning the emotions, the mind, the body, the impressions, the past, the future. Scanning. What's it like to be me right now? What's standing out? As we practice cultivating this, we cultivate acceptance, allowance, curiosity, and awareness about what we're feeling. Instead of just going throughout our day, going from thing to thing to thing, maybe being in our heads or just kind of trying to get comfortable all the time, whatever it is that's in our heads, whatever it is that we're feeling, we're simply cultivating holding space for ourselves, holding the awareness that it is what is being felt and experienced by me right now. And this cultivation is the foundation for connecting with another. Well, what's it like to be you right now? And do I have the space to hold the connection between the space between us in a very real way? Where I'm not sure what's going on inside of you right now, but I can hold it and I can understand to an extent because I know what it's like have whatever is going on inside of me, happy, expansive, or challenging or painful. I can hold that space for myself. So I can hold that for you. I can hold that space for our relationship. So the foundation for authentic relating, or I kind of like to call it synergistic mindfulness, because when you're in that much realness and presence and sharing with another person, it kind of feels like meditation. There'll be these little like sparkles of mindfulness awareness that feel fun and awesome, because you're sort of, it's just so real. How do I describe it? Yeah, it's sort of, I mean, if you can practice a mindfulness meditation practice, something like Vipassana, like Goenka's Vipassana is what I'm most familiar with, or Yoga Nidra, that's awesome. If you can set aside a time to really cultivate mindful awareness, that will benefit you like more than anything, at least from my experience, because aside from being an end in itself, when we have awareness of what's going on inside of ourselves and why we are coming to certain conclusions, why we are coming to certain behaviors, why we come to certain worldviews based on our feelings and experiences, then we have more and more space to hold for ourselves and for the other. Because when we're aware of our inner process, we can empathize with that others have an inner process. So when someone asks me, what's the first thing I can do? How can I start practicing authentic relating with others? I say a mindfulness practice. Start noticing yourself. Start cultivating an open, curious attitude towards your own experience. So the step 2 of this is sharing mindfulness. So how to approach these conversations? I'm just going to offer one suggestion right now because there's so many. There's so many authentic relating games and ways to approach mindfulness, but my favorite and the simplest is to simply offer how I'm feeling. I usually start with sharing, and that is a subtle invitation for someone to feel like it's safe for them to share also. Because we naturally mirror and mimic each other, so when one person offers himself vulnerably, it can be an invitation for someone else to also feel safe to share themselves. So offering up a feeling, it sort of feels like show and tell. Like I have this cool new rose quartz in my pocket and I pull it out and I'm like, check this out. Except that it's something like even deeper inside of me. It's something, like the rose quartz, it might be something that I feel excited about, or I'm just very aware of that it's with me and I wanted to share the experience of having this with me with you. It's a feeling. And so when I share what I'm feeling with someone else, I'll usually end up feeling more connected with the other person and more present, because then we can share the awareness together of what was just mine before, where it sort of felt more private and like I'm having a sort of private experience while we're connecting. Then we can have it together in some way. So for example, maybe I just met up with someone and it's later in the day and I notice I'm a bit distracted because I'm still left with impressions from an interaction I had earlier in the day. And so I just share that and I say, I noticed that I'm still noticing my mind being in dialogue with someone who I met earlier today. And I just wanted to share that with you because it's going on. It's what's happening inside of me right now. And so like bringing that out of me and letting you become aware of what's going on inside of me also helps me feel more connected. And then I can be more present with the other person and then they can be more present with me too. And it feels a bit more opening because, it could be someone who you've known for years and who you're super close with. But after having a day full of experiences, you could come together being on totally different wavelengths in that moment. And so it's nice to share where we're at with someone else. And kind of the way to share it is with a sort of an open mindfulness, because the difference between sharing in with synergistic mindfulness and just like a normal conversation is that it's not venting per se. It's not just like spilling out all of my feelings and storylines that are all like jumbled together to another person. I think there's a time and a place for that, and that can be medicinal also. But specifically, just in terms of practicing this kind of conversation, um, it's sort of we are really seated in the mindfulness. So we're sort of really just sharing an observation of what's happening inside of us. And it's not so much we're saying, like, he just did this to me. I can't believe it. Like, I'm never talking to him again, you know? It's sort of like, I notice that I'm feeling charged about an interaction that I had earlier. And I just want to share that that's what's going on inside of me right now. So it's sort of just introducing into the dialogue a shared awareness of what's going on inside of you, um, as opposed to going into an identification with it. There's still this sort of like, let's share this together, but in a way that's kind of like interested, open, fluid, detached, and simply just for the sake of bringing awareness to it. So that's a good introduction. That's a good way to start, is really just cultivating mindfulness and allowance and curiosity and acceptance of whatever you're feeling. And it's sort of like caring detached. So we care a lot about ourselves and what we're feeling. We care a lot about the other person, what they're feeling. But it's stepping back from the identification. Okay, happy synergy. Kaleidoscope perception.